easy the minute you get that first taste of freedom.
Yeah.
But then when you see things and have your own experiences for yourself, you come back to God if you have any wisdom. And then sometimes you even realize, like for me, even in my worst days,
It's definitely the best job I've ever had.
yeah,
Yeah, the bosses are cool. The people I work with are dope.
they took God out of schools. Immediately you notice a decline in the morale, the behavior, like the general behavior of the school system. Like this has always been my argument to the atheists, is like whether it's true or not. Hello, I'm Vincent M, your host of The Art of Thinking. We have a special guest. My man Gino, one of our guys at D&D Customs, is going to be one of our new hosts here at The Art of Thinking. So Gino, why don't you tell us, how do you like working for D&D Customs so far?
It's definitely the best job I've ever had.
Yeah?
Yeah, the bosses are cool. The people I work with are dope. I mean, I've learned a lot since I've been here. So all around, it's definitely the best job I've had.
No, I like that. You're definitely my protege. Um, uh, Denny and I are trying to develop you into a real good craftsman. And what are you thinking for the future? Like you want to go more into sales, or you want to be, project manager? Are you like fabricating cabinets, or like where do you want to head towards the future?
Um, Wherever the money's at. But for right now, I definitely want to be as useful as I can be because I think that's more valuable right now than money. I think being useful
Yeah,
is probably
wherever
better.
you can add value,
Yeah.
be useful. I like that. Great answer. You know, me and this guy have had some of the greatest conversations I think I've had in a while, because what are you, 21? You're 21?
21.
He's 21. He thinks like a 30-year-old. So we really gel. I mean, just yesterday, I think we were back there talking about religion, food, everything under the sun. And like, I remember I was saying something like, you're only accustomed to what you've been exposed to. So like, real quick, I just want to know your take. Do you think God is going to disqualify people who really haven't had the proper exposure? What are your thoughts on that?
Um, God's going to disqualify people who haven't had the exposure to Him.
Yeah, yeah, like those. Think about those communities where they've just never heard of Jesus Christ, God. Like,
Yeah.
like are what do you think's gonna happen? Like in their last breath, does Jesus appear to us and give us that last shot? Like that's what I think, because I don't think we should be disqualified from things we haven't been exposed to. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think religion is more up to the interpretation of each person. You know, they have a different idea of God. I'm not a traditional Christian. I wouldn't even say that I'm a Christian, but I'm learning more about Christianity. So I feel like I'm the closest to God that I've ever been.
Exactly.
And I think that, um, I think God probably transcends jealousy and, um, he's not gonna think down upon you in your last days because you've never heard of Jesus Christ. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not gonna. I don't think you're gonna be disqualified for not accepting Jesus Christ into your life if you've never been exposed to him. Like third world countries and or tribes out in the middle of nowhere that don't even they still are paganists. They're not gonna be going to hell because they don't know about Jesus Christ. I think it's all about being a good person and caring about others just as much as you care about yourself. I think that's more of at least my interpretation of what would what would get you to heaven and what would disqualify you going to hell. You know.
No, I love that response. You know, one of the most interesting things I learned when I was at Florida Christian College was just that we should be really studying the etymology of things and not just taking things at face value, and really digging deeper into like the back end of how things formed, like getting to the root of the problem. I think is the best way to go about this. But it's like back to those small communities.
I know the other day we were talking about uh, the degeneration of uh, our society that we live in now, and kind of how that ties into religion. And I mean, it's more of a theory. Uh, I don't think anything's been proven about how an atheist society is kind of like destined to degenerate.
Yeah.
But I think the
No, I
contact
think
clues are there.
I think the greatest aspect of upholding the Christian values into societies is simply the fact that it's the only thing that upholds the morale and the integrity. Like even those non-believers that are doing good works, they're inadvertently, without knowing it, upholding those values. But it's like when you're really conscious of it and you really pay attention to the facts, like, the minute they took God out of schools, immediately you notice a decline in the morale, the behavior, like the general behavior of the school system. Like it's, when you take, whether it's true or not, is like this has always been my argument to the atheists, is like whether it's true or not, these practices uphold a righteous, a noble society and help with the general morale and integrity and the code of ethics. Like
Yeah,
it goes hand in hand with law and order and just operating effectively as a society. Like we just want to deny statistics right now and see what happens without it. But we know the answer to these questions already, and
yeah,
many people just ignore.
yeah, and that's exactly what Jordan Peterson has been saying too. When he's asked if he believes in God or not, he kind of avoids the question, and he doesn't really answer it. But I think his answer is better than a yes or no. It's his answer is really, um, if you act as if God is real, then that's the best you can do. It's not, because you're not going to know whether God is real or not because you can't prove it. You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
more of a spiritual thing. Like, you either know it or you don't.
Exactly. And that's why I mentioned the fact, like, because people just want to argue about the proof and the non proof. And that's why I like to argue that, let's leave that proof argument over here and say, even despite that, there's still good reasons and more pros than there are cons and benefits to upholding those values. And I know a lot of kids, like, me personally, I was raised sheltered and like too Christian, if you will, because we were scared of everything,
Right.
or like everything was from hell. Like, and at that point, then you don't even go out in the world because you're scared shitless of everything.
Yeah, and a lot of those kids rebel and go the other way and start
Exactly,
becoming goth kids. And
exactly. Like, I
yeah,
went through the punk phase. Like for a long time, I rebelled simply because of being too strict and sheltered. You just kind of go crazy the minute you get that first taste of freedom.
yeah,
But then when you see things and have your own experiences for yourself, you come back to God if you have any wisdom. And then sometimes you even realize, like for me, even in my worst days, I didn't leave, if that makes